This is Saturday, the first week in Advent. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus went around to all the towns and villages, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom, and curing every disease and illness. At the sight of the crowds, his heart was moved with pity for them, because they were troubled and abandoned like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is abundant, but the laborers are few. So ask the master of the harvest to send out laborers for his harvest." Then he summoned his 12 disciples and gave them authority over unclean spirits to drive them out and to cure every disease and every illness. Jesus sent these 12 out after instructing them thus: "Go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as you go, make this proclamation: the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse lepers, drive out demons. Without cost you have received, without cost you are to give." The gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Again, we hear Jesus having pity on the crowd. Again, we see his compassion and his mercy and his love for those many people who were following him, desiring him to heal, desiring him to feed them spiritually. But also, Jesus is calling the disciples to go out, just as he was doing, and to proclaim the kingdom. To proclaim the kingdom. And I think that's one of the things that can kind of get lost in the story as we hear the healings and those sort of things. But the kingdom is what Jesus was about. And as we see Jesus in this gospel passage, and as we hear him speak, he is ultimately giving that authority to proclaim the kingdom and to heal and to do the things that he is doing to the disciples. And I think that the Lord calls each of us to proclaim the kingdom also. And we proclaim the kingdom when we do the exact things that Jesus was doing. Caring for those in need, being merciful, feeding and clothing and giving those things that the people needed so much. Because ultimately the gospel says that, without cost we have received, and without cost we are to give. In other words, we're to give of our very selves to the proclamation of the kingdom, by what we say and by what we do. And when we do it, we make the kingdom present right here, right now, in our midst.